they're going to continue to be explorers. We are real honored to be a part of that. So thank you all very much.
Okay, thanks. Bill?
All right, very good. Well, good afternoon, and thanks everyone for coming. You couldn't have picked a better day, I think, to come to Wallops. I've been the site director here for about 3 years now. And while this upcoming event is certainly monumental to me, it's also a huge deal to all the men and women here at Wallops that have worked on it for the last 5 years or so. And so with that, I'd like to say congratulations to Orbital Sciences, to Dale Nash and the Mars team, and to everyone else that has had a hand in basically getting us to this point. This will be the largest rocket ever to launch from Wallops Island, so it's a big occasion. Thinking back on the history that has made Wallops what it is, I had lunch last week with the retirees group. They come in kind of on a every couple of months, and we talk about what is going on or what isn't. In this case, I thank them for the legacy that they have built here. Wallops has been here 68 years, launched some 16,000 rockets. This one is no doubt by far going to be the largest thing to ever come off the island, and so we're certainly looking forward to that. And along with what they have done, I also need to thank the community here locally for the support that they have given us. Certainly all the area leaders, delegates, legislators, the support that you have given us makes all of this possible. And so with a focus on Antares, this also kind of reintroduces Wallops, I think, to the world. We've got a crew on a P-3 aircraft up in the north doing Operation Ice Bridge, which is collecting data on ice sheets up there in the north. They'll be doing a similar event in the south later this year. We've got another crew flying a mission called CARV up in Alaska, which is the Carbon Arctic Reservoirs Vulnerability Experiment. And in the Kwajalein Atoll, we've got a sounding rocket team out there prepping a couple of vehicles for flight out there that'll help us understand better how solar weather affects navigation and communication signals. The scientific balloon team has just completed its third super pressure balloon. They're getting that ready for a flight coming out of Sweden a little bit later this year. The NASA Global Hawks will be coming back here again this summer, again to study hurricane formation, obviously very important to us here on the Eastern Shore. And also, I think to point out in the September, late August time frame, Virginia is going to support the launch of the LADEE mission. It would be the first planetary mission for Wallops. So we're going to the moon this year by way of Virginia. And then I could continue on, but I think the big deal here is Antares. And for those of you that have been out to the island and have seen the site there, you can kind of come up on it, especially as you're cresting the Causeway Bridge, and it stands out in the evening with the lights on it. It really shows. But I'd just like to wish these guys all the best tomorrow. And that I'll pass things back over to you, Trent.
Okay, let's go ahead and go to questions and answers. For those in the audience, if you just say your name and media affiliation, that'd be a help. Let's start with Dan Leone here in the front, and we'll get a microphone to you. Second, Dan.
Hi, everybody. Dan Leone with Space News. Thanks for having us all out here. Frank, I want to pick up on something that you said, but embedded in here is also a question for Phil. You mentioned this was going to be a step in having a larger space station crew. So, Phil, I'm curious. We've heard Bill Gerstenmaier say time and time again, maybe literally one time and another time, that there could be a 7-member crew, provided that all the commercial cargo and crew objectives go according to plan. I'm curious whether the 7 crew is an official goal for NASA yet. And then, Frank, I'm curious what part Orbital would play with Cygnus and Antares to support.
I'm not sure I'd call it an official goal. It's definitely something that we aspire to. It's going to be dependent on the technical progress of the crew program as well as future budgets. But the space station was designed for a 7-person crew. We'd like to make it fully productive. That's what it's up there to do, is research in microgravity, innovative activities, maybe potentially commercial applications. And to really do that, effectively, you definitely need crew time. So we would like to get it up to 7 if possible. That is definitely something that we are going to be aspiring to. I don't know if you can call it an official goal, but it's definitely something that we're working towards. This Antares Cygnus capability is a key component of that. We want assured cargo access to the ISS. And then we're going to have to get crew capability up there as well. So there's a number of gates to get there, but yes, that's sort of the path that we would like to pursue. Yeah. And Frank?
As far as Orbital's role, I mean, what Phil said is correct. I already knew the crew or the station was designed for 7 crew, but I also know that without our participation and all of the people that are providing cargo and eventually crew transportation, you can't get there. So we're a part of the solution to getting to 7 crew. It's NASA's job to determine when, where, and how, with the help of Congress, to expand the capabilities of the station. We'll be ready to support if they can achieve that.
Okay. I saw 3 hands fire up fast, so we'll go Ken and then Tarek, and then we'll go here to the side if that's okay. All right.
Hi, thank you, and thanks for doing this fantastic rocket you have. For Frank Culbertson, you talked a little bit about the question I have at the end, but can you put this in a little bit more personal terms? Since you have been an astronaut, you've been to the ISS, you know they need these science experiments, so put your mission, your Cygnus mission, in that perspective of just how important this is. Thanks.
Well, I think the element of this that is driving the importance of our delivery, SpaceX, HTV, the Russians, ESA, is the fact that we don't have the shuttle anymore. And the shuttle, with all of its cargo capability and lift capability, was able to keep the station very well supplied with things of any size, from the largest battery requirement to the smallest instrument. But without the shuttle, we need other means of doing that, and that's going to be a multifaceted solution, one of the facets of which is Antares and Cygnus. And we intend to be ready to do that by later this year and do it on a regular basis for as long as the station continues to operate. And we're hoping that NASA will be happy with what we do in this first phase of the contract, and if they extend it, that we'll be a part of that too. But having the ability to predict how much and when you're going to be able to deliver cargo is very important to the station program in order to plan the crew training, the crew arrivals, the crew departures. It's a very complicated traffic problem, and they need predictable launch capability from the providers in order to keep it working. Otherwise, you'll end up with situations where you either don't have enough supplies and part of the crew has to come home, or you may not be able to just sustain the research that you have planned.
Thank you, Tarek Malik with Space.com. I think I have a question for Phil and for Dale. The goal, from COTS and the commercial use of cargo delivery, was to foster what we're seeing now, the new vehicles, the new spacecraft. But you're getting another spaceport out of it as well. And I'm wondering what the value of a new liquid-fueled capable spaceport is, both for NASA, for Virginia, and then also for Orbital. Frank, if you could kind of comment on just having that new capability, a mid-Atlantic launching site. Thanks.
So I don't want to delve into hyperbole, but it is a key critical capability for not only for NASA and the ISS program, but I think for the entire nation. It's going to help economically for commercial customers that the Antares is going to fly. It will potentially help national security if Antares flies any DoD or national security missions. It's definitely going to help NASA. As we've said many times, this is a key capability to keep our ISS resupplied and productive. I mean, that's the whole point of why we put ISS up there, is so that we could do these microgravity experiments. You need the cargo up there and the regular pace of new experiments up and down to really fully utilize that national lab. If you think about it, in a lab on Earth, you come in and you do tests all the time. So you're going to need a lot of equipment going up and down. So it is definitely a key resource. And I think, to harken back to one of the previous questions regarding shuttle, I think we saw after Columbia how tenuous our lifeline is, our toehold to low Earth orbit in the International Space Station is. That one tragic accident really made it really challenging for NASA to maintain that ISS during that very difficult period of time. We are in such a better situation today and about to be even better with the debut of this new capability, a completely independent hardware, completely independent launch pad, provides what we call assured access, a significantly higher confidence level in our ability to deliver cargo to low Earth orbit in the International Space Station. So again, I don't want to use any hyperbole, but I don't know if it could be understated or overstated how important this program is to us. And we are very pleased to see how far it is. We are not there yet. As Frank mentioned, this is a test flight. And what I like to hear, not only from Frank but also from the NASA side, is our commitment. Since this is so important, we are going to see this through. We've gotten through a lot of challenges already. We've knocked down those challenges with the hard work of the Orbital Sciences team and the rest of their partners, and we're going to continue to do that. Spaceflight's always going to be hard. There's going to always be difficulties and challenges ahead, but the fact that all the partners are committed to this additional U.S. capability is what gives me confidence that we'll eventually get there.
Let's take one more here in the audience, and then we'll go to the phone line. Microphone's here.
Gene McCulka with Talking Space. First off, gentlemen, thanks for taking our questions here today, and congratulations, and wishing you guys well tomorrow. Antares is going to be launched within eyesight of everybody here in the Northeast, but it's also going to be launched within eyesight of our hired help over in Capitol Hill. If you go ahead and, what do you hope that folks might be going ahead, taking a look outside their office windows and seeing this thing going up around 5 o'clock tomorrow? What do you think their thoughts are going to be, and what do you hope they are? Thanks.
Well, I hope they're watching, first of all, because they can go out on the eastern portico and watch, or they can go to the top of the tall buildings and they'll be able to see us if they look in the right direction, which is approximately 140 degrees and 85 miles. But, and we will have folks hosting an event down there to try to encourage them to come and watch on TV and live. But I think the message that comes out of that is that we are growing in our spaceport capability in this country. Right down the road from Washington, to the west, we build satellites and other components for spaceflight. To the east now in Wallops, we're actually launching them. And we will be launching them regularly. And that's a new experience. People think you have to go to Florida to a space launch. Florida has tremendous capability, and we may launch from there again also too. But right now we're launching from Virginia and within sight of the nation's capital. And I think it's important that people see that so they know that the space program is alive and well. The space program is still supporting human spaceflight, and the commercial industry is involved in that. And we're trying to move out in many different directions to ensure that the American industry, the American public, the American taxpayer has access to space, and someday, hopefully in person, but certainly by sending other people, sending experiments, sending payloads, and sending other missions to either low Earth orbit or beyond. And Wallops is a big piece of that. One of the reasons we're here is because we actually ran a competition between Florida and Virginia, and one of the many factors we considered was the fact that we are a Virginia company, and we're not too far from here. And so that played a role, but also the fact that the prediction was we would have less traffic conflicts here. Now, ironically, it's like driving the back roads here on the Eastern Shore. If there's two cars that are going to meet up at a stop sign, I mean, only two cars on the road, they're going to meet up at a stop sign. Well, the only other conflict we could have possibly run into is getting ready to go out to the pad this summer. So we've run into a little bit of a conflict with that. But we'll get around that. And the fact that we can manage those kind of things should allow us to go to the space station when they need us to come. And with the support of the congressional legislations and the leadership in both Virginia and Maryland, we've been able to keep this going. And I certainly want to thank the governor of Virginia for his support, and Sean Connaughton, the transportation secretary, and Senator Mikulski, who, though I think she may think this is part of Maryland, but it's pretty close.
We don't do anything to
that's
convince
right.
her otherwise.
That's right. But she has a lot of Marylanders who work here and a great deal of interest in this because of the link between Goddard and Wallops. And she's been tremendously supportive. And I know that she'll be watching either from here or from Washington and encouraging her other hired help to go outside and watch also. So we think it's very important they go out and see this and then spread the word. Yeah, we are launching from the Eastern Shore. And we're going east.